Good evening. You're joining the midweek edition of the State of Business with me, Nishani Pigera. Let's first take a look at tonight's headlines as usual. Sri Lanka to sell non-strategic state assets through the Colombo Stock Exchange. And South Korea and Sri Lanka to enhance bilateral cooperations. In tonight's main story, Finance Minister Ravi Karnanayake says the government will sell non-strategic assets through the Colombo Stock Exchange. The minister said the sale will generate around $1 billion to the state coffers. Hyatt Hotel, hotel developers, Grand Orient Hotel, Water's Edge and Lanka hospitals have been mentioned as some of those non-strategic assets.
The commercialization process for non-strategic is open. Now we have got to ensure that the transparency doing it is opened up. We have got to get a true valuation, staff protected, and then go forward. I think you could get roughly about $1 billion. We are not in an urge to do so, but we only want to show that our intent is correct. When we basically move away from state dominant control, we open it up to the local market where the innocent people can come in either through a unit trust or directly and ensure that we partakers in progressiveness of the country. We are opening up instead of just bottling and holding it back to the government.
5 state-owned enterprises today signed a collective agreement with the Finance Ministry in order to enhance the contribution of those entities for the growth of the country's economy. The agreement will ensure that the state-owned enterprises are managed in a transparent manner while ensuring accountability.
The agreement was signed by the Secretary to the Finance Ministry, Secretaries of subject ministries and chairpersons of the respective enterprises. Ceylon Electricity Board, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, National Water Supply and Drainage Board, Sri Lanka Ports Authority and Airport and Aviation Services signed the agreement with the Finance Ministry.
With the signing of the Statement of Corporate Intent, I'm sure we are chaining ourselves sufficiently in order to be more transparent and be aware of our responsibilities. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board this year is very proud to be one of those public enterprises which has achieved in its history the best profit possible. We have been able to declare almost $2.5 billion of profits this year. But then the future is challenging. We need to change our business model. We need to look at private sector involvement in investment within public sector, and we need to educate our trade unions about the benefits of these new business models. And in the meantime, we also have got to be prepared to be ready to install sectoral regulators, which is lacking in most of our areas.
The foreign ministers of Sri Lanka and South Korea met in Colombo today for bilateral discussions. The Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se arrived in Sri Lanka today on a 3-day official visit. His visit marks the 40th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Following the discussion, the two ministers signed a memorandum of understanding on behalf of the Bandaranaike International Training Institute and the Korean National Diplomatic Academy. Later, the two ministers addressed the media.
Yoon and I just concluded a very productive discussions on ways and means of further enhancing our bilateral cooperation in areas of mutual interest, including political relations, economic cooperation, development cooperation, labor relations, defense and cultural cooperation, as well as cooperation in regional multilateral fora. Particular attention was paid to ways and means of further strengthening our bilateral trade and investment partnership, given the potential and Sri Lanka's location advantage. Ongoing collaboration on the megapolis and Western Development Plan was also discussed. We also discussed the situation in the Korean Peninsula and regional security issues.
That my government has decided to increase its current development cooperation called EDCF cooperation with Sri Lanka from the current $300 million to $500 million over the next 3 years. And also, given your very difficult situation on the long-standing worst ever drought situation, we are now also we have just decided to provide some $200,000 US dollars of humanitarian assistance in kind, and we hope that it will contribute to the alleviation of this very serious drought situation. We have also agreed to facilitate the participation of Korean companies in large-scale infrastructure projects in Sri Lanka so that it could help Sri Lankan government's nation rebuilding efforts.
Time for us to slip in for a short break. There's more news when we come back. Welcome back. You're watching The State of Business. National Development and Reform Commission of China has agreed to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Sri Lanka on cooperation for developing investment and production capabilities of the country. Accordingly, the Cabinet has given its consent to a proposal submitted by the Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade, Malik Samaravikrama, to sign the proposed MOU. It will be signed among the National Development and Reform Commission of China, Ministry of Development Strategies and International Trade of Sri Lanka, and International Trade and Policy Development Office of the Prime Minister's Office. In more news tonight, the Marketing Director of Singer Sri Lanka, Kumar Samarasinghe, says the trust built up by the company among the consumers is a main reason for Singer Sri Lanka's positive growth story. Speaking exclusively to our television, Samarasinghe said, despite the overall market conditions being challenging, 2016 was a very productive year for the company.
In Sri Lanka, we are over 150 years. If I say it's a very simple way how we exist in Sri Lanka, I think that is the trust we created among our consumers. If I say for the last 5 years, it was very good for us, especially in year 2016, where the many companies are talking about the drop in their sales, but for us in Singer, had a very good year. I think it's, if you looked at the year back, or 2016, we had some disadvantage, that is at the economic conditions and the weather conditions, and of course it's the market conditions. But for us, by having the very aggressive approach and to overcome all these negatives or taken into our favor, I think we had a very good year. If you looked at the products as well as the financially, I think it was a very good year for us.
In 2016, the entire country experienced adverse weather conditions at the beginning of the year. Thereafter, instability in the tax regimes created a challenging environment for businesses. However, Samarasinghe said it did not affect the Singer's path.
We at Singer what we thought. Those are the things we should not be very much disturb our operation. So if you looked at out in the market, we believe that total market never die. Whatever the maybe 10%, 20%, 25% drop in the marketplace. But what about that 75% of the balance if the market drop by 25%? So what we are looking at, let the market drop enjoyed by the competitor. But what is left in the market, we will enjoy. So more aggressive approach to the market is the answer when the things are not favorable to you.
Singer has expanded its operations in the country over the years very aggressively, and at present it has over 400 outlets and 250 service centers. It also markets and distributes over 50 renowned brands in Sri Lanka, and most of them are international brands.
In year 2016, if I say one of the very successful story for us, it's a mobile telephone business. You know, we are the distributor for Huawei branded mobile phones for Sri Lanka. Last year, I think that we came, I think the highest, or we are the market leaders in the smartphone business in the latter part of the year. You know, would I heard that month of December, we celebrated that for 1 month we sold 1 billion worth of mobile phones. That's one successful story. Second thing, the Singer branded TVs. We have introduced Vista, our sub-brand of Singer Vista, big screen TVs to the Sri Lankan market. It's a very high-tech models and up to 65 inches. And that was the other success story.
Let's take a look at how the stocks performed today after this short break. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all share price index dipped 14.63 points to close at 6,032.16, and the S&P SL20 index dropped 9.82 points to close the session at 3,450.07. Turnover was 240.9 million rupees and 11 million shares were traded. Up next are the day's forex rates. And with that, we sign off from the newsroom for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching. Have a good night.